Hello and welcome. I am Cyril Stoba. Now, how does a nation harness ideas, inventions, and creative works towards technology advancement and global competitiveness? Now, that's a question taken right out of the stated goal of an organization which is key to the needed technology advancement of Nigeria. Now, this edition of One on One focuses on building and maintaining the blocks that are the bedrock of a technology revolution. I'm sitting with Dr. DanAzumi Ibrahim, Director General of the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP. Dr. Ibrahim, thanks for joining us on One on One.
Thank you very much.
The first thing one wants to talk about when we mention NOTAP is, can you really transfer technology? Acquisition, yes, but transfer?
Yeah. You see, technology is a product of research and development. It's a product of skills. And you can only transfer technology to somebody who is skillful, somebody who is learned, somebody who has the requisite qualifications. Since it is a product of research and development, we have universities, we have research establishments, we have polytechnics. These are where research and development are supposed to emanate, be vibrant, and produce what we call the technology. So when these technologies are produced by the source of those technologies, then you can transfer it based on an agreement. Because it's a product of hard work, it's your intellectual asset, you don't just give it free of charge. So you have to negotiate. If you need my technology, because it's the product of my intellect, we have to agree with you, how much would you pay me? So technology can be transferred, but under an agreement.
All right, so it does follow then that the technology we're talking about here can be indigenous, both indigenous, and also foreign.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. For indigenous technology, see, right from time immemorials, right from the Stone Age, our people have developed some technologies. They have developed some skills. And sometimes you discover that some skills are particularly peculiar to certain family or environment. And nobody else gets that kind of technology. So you have to come very close to those organizations, those communities, those individuals, for you to get these technologies transferred. So it's like you have an asset, and you can only give that asset to somebody you love, somebody you like, somebody you care for. So if somebody comes and say he wants to take my indigenous technology, I know what I had to labor to get these technologies perfected, and it is producing product and services, and people are happy with it. So we have to agree. In what terms do you want me to give you this technology? In what terms do you want me to transfer things? But in most cases, our indigenous technologies are transferred from one generation to another within a family. Maybe if the father is getting old, he will bring maybe his favorite son and now teaches him the art of that technology. But for the foreign technology, because like we register technologies that come into the country, and through the registration exercise, we realize that Nigerian economy is powered by foreign technologies. More than 90% of the technologies we consume are foreign.
Right.
And they are foreign because they are product of research and development. those countries that have been able to come out with those technologies have spent a lot of money. They have a very vibrant research and development activity. So your universities must have to be very good. Your polytechnics must have to be very good, and you have capacities also. If you have these two key, you have the capacity, you have the facilities, and equally important, you have a policy. So if you have these three things, you now begin to see technologies emanating from our science, technology, and innovation system, or ecosystem. So if these technologies are coming from the ecosystem, they can only come from the ecosystem when you have these two major issues. You have the capacities and you have the facilities. So our consumption of foreign technology is because our research and development establishments, I'm sorry to say, they are not well funded. One, there are infrastructures that are lacking. Two, there are other issues. So you realize that even though the funding is weak, still some technologies come out from the system. But those technologies, if they don't translate into product and services, they are of little or no value to the system.
So that brings us to the big question. How do you develop how do you build your research and development? How do you get those institutions that you've just mentioned to engage in serious R&D as to, bring up technologies that can,
You see, there is a key issue, funding. You see, we have people who are intelligent in this country, very, very intelligent people, very hardworking people, and they still manage, notwithstanding the constraints within the environment, they still come out with some inventions and innovations. But there is one key issue also. We have a very weak culture of intellectual property protection. Our researchers who work hard come out with some innovations and inventions that have potentials to translate into product and services. But we are in a hurry to tell the world, yes, we have hit that invention. You publish a paper, you go to conference, you discuss A to Z of that invention. Then it is now you have divulged this into the public domain. You have no monopoly whatsoever of that intellectual asset. That is an issue also within the science and education innovation system. So what we're trying to do is to educate. We don't say don't publish, but before you publish, you have to make efforts to protect that intellectual assets. And that intellectual assets could bring billions of dollars to this country unless it is properly managed. So if you don't protect it, somebody very smart could read your paper, go through your methodology A to Z, replicate it, you will have the technology on his hand. You understand? So what we're trying to do is, we don't say don't publish, but come to NOTAP would assist. We saw a gap in NOTAP. Though it's not clearly our mandate, but we saw a gap, and that gap has implication in the strategic development of our economic development of our country. So we feel we could assist any Nigerian who comes out with any innovation or invention that we feel is patentable. You go to our website, you download the forms. Why you cannot fill the forms properly, you come to the office, our staff would guide you, fill the forms, and write the claims for you, do the search, pay the patenting fee. We only call you to come and collect your patent certificates. That has begun to change. Now you have a patent certificate. As an individual researcher, you may not have the fund to escalate it to the next level. This is a private sector affair. That is why I'm emphasizing the need to protect the IP. No any private sector would put his own or her own money where the intellectual asset is not protected. So now the first stage of commercialization of research and development is the protection of the intellectual asset. So if your intellectual asset is protected, now a private sector may come and negotiate with you. Yes, I saw this technology. The country needs this technology. We need to upscale it and begin to produce them in numbers, in high quantity. So
that's an interesting concept. Just before we go on, let's just step back a little bit.
Yeah.
You've talked about transfer of technology.
Yeah.
One other thing I didn't quickly mention, can you steal technology?
Of Of course you can, if you have the knowledge. You see, if you bring somebody who doesn't have the basic knowledge of the technology itself, you throw it onto him, he cannot steal it. But you bring a very smart person who's an authority in that area. Like say, if you are into manufacturing outfit, and you take a very intelligent person, not even to your production line, take him to your raw material store, he may be able to decode what you are doing. So you can steal technology, but you have to be smart.
All right.
You have to be prepared. You have to be educated.
Right. I can understand the fear you expressed about rushing to publish. But again, it is said that this country, Nigeria, is in a hurry to develop.
Yeah.
And therefore, people who are innovative should move fast enough. Now, one of the biggest issues is that it takes a lot of time to go through when you have just developed something, going through acquisition of the rights, patenting. You know, you have to go through all kinds of channels. And some say it takes too long, that by the time you go through the various steps, it probably isn't worth all the trouble anymore. And that's why people rush to publish when they have developed something. How do you manage that?
You see, Cyril, it's better to take your time to protect your intellectual asset than to rush and throw it into the public domain. It will take you 4 or 5 years to work on a research and development effort. And if it takes you maybe 2 or 3 months to get it patented, it's worth waiting. You understand? That is the best stage. It's like you have a land that does not have certificate of occupancy. It's prone to encroachment. So also the intellectual asset. So no technology can be developed within a period of say 3, 4, 5 months. No. Some will take you 4 years, some will take you 5 years, some will take you 6 years. If it has taken you 6 years to come out with something that could change your life completely, why wouldn't you wait, even if it would take you 6 months to protect that IP asset? It's better. So we don't need to be too much in a hurry. You see, sometimes it's when people say speed kills. when you rush, then you lose everything.
Now, if we agree that we've not done enough in research and development, the question would be, what about those areas where we have carried out research? And it's a saying you hear all the time. You have piles and piles of research findings and documents gathering dust on shelves, and they can't move to the next stage. That's one side of it. And secondly, some of these need the private sector to step in, and they can't get that. And so there is a tendency of a dependence more on foreign technologies, which would be easier to introduce into the country. How do you negotiate around this?
You see, Cyril, for us as a nation, we have to know our priorities right. We have to have a very strong policy, you understand, and bring some infrastructure, institutional framework to ensure that what comes out from our researchers is escalated to the next level. Private sector is supposed to take research and development to the production level. If you look at the private sectors we have in this country, more than 90% of them are foreign-based. We must have to appreciate that. They are foreign-based. I'm afraid to say that, I'm sorry to say that this is my own opinion. They come into your country to do business. They're not here to develop your country. And their major and their primary objective is to produce, make money, and remit their money back to their respective things. The scenario in the developed countries, the companies belong to them, the universities belong to them, because there is a very strong bond between the universities, research establishment, and private companies, say in an advanced world. The companies are theirs, the researchers are theirs, the facilities are there. So there is seamless transfer of technology from the researchers to this. But the scenario here is different. I say majority of the private sectors are foreign based. So, but I'm happy some of our local industries, particularly Dangote in particular, I'm telling you, he's doing a great for this country. And it's a matter of time you begin to see the impact of his intervention. We need people like him that will take some of those R&D to the next level. Now, the issue of private sectors are not coming in. If private sectors are not coming in, we have responsibility as a government to bring out an institutional framework that would harness some of those research and development efforts and move them to the next level.
Okay. So that brings us to the core mandate and the work of the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP, which you heard. How has NOTAP been able to make the difference in this?
Yeah. I made it to give you a brief because probably some people are hearing the name NOTAP for the first time. Though we've been in existence for a very long period of time, about 30 years. We regulate inflow of foreign technology. How do we regulate inflow of foreign technology? If any Nigerian say, I put it in a very simple language for everybody to understand, is want to establish, say, a manufacturing outfit, and he looks within the four corners of the country and doesn't get a competent technical partner, the only option available is to go outside the country and get an experienced and competent technical partner to help you realize your dream. If you get that technical partner, naturally you enter into agreement. The agreement clearly spells out the responsibilities of the two parties, what you are expected to do and what is supposed to do. It is that agreement we register in NOTAP. We don't just register the agreement. We look at it, we have to subject it into proper evaluation under three major perspectives: the legal perspectives, the economic perspectives, but more importantly, the technical perspective. Under the legal perspective, we ensure that all the clauses within the agreement are in line with the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Cyril, I'm telling you, there are instances where agreements are crafted from outside the country and thrown onto Nigerians, take them the way they are, with little or no regards to the law guiding the operation of such establishments in our own country. Where we see any clause that is not in tandem with the law, we either advise you to renegotiate so that you modify those clauses or totally expunge them so that they are in line with the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Economic perspective, yes, whoever renders services, you have to pay. And they will look at it, the amount of money they are requesting you to pay, is it commensurate with the services they are rendering you? We are strictly under the guidance of the Central Bank of Nigeria. So where we feel Nigerian is shortchanged, we advise, we insist, it has to be within the confinement of the law. The third, and perhaps the most important perspective, as far as our strategic development is concerned, is the technical perspective. We had to go outside, yes, because those competencies don't exist in our country. So can we remain a consumer of other people's technology? Certainly not. So we insist that within the scope of those agreements, there must be area of capacity building, because that is what will ensure Nigerians are able to domesticate, absorb and domesticate some of those technologies. So where the three major perspectives are met, then if you are coming for the first time, we undertake what you call pre-registration visit to go and find out whether you are really on ground or not. Sometimes we go, those entities don't exist. It's another way of capital flight. So where we are comfortable, we went, we found out you exist, this and this and this and this and this. We register and issue a certificate. And this is one of the documents you will eventually present to the bank before you are able to pay your technical partner. You understand? So now we saw the huge quantity of technology we consume. Then as an agency under government, we have responsibility to see what strategy can we adopt so that Nigeria gets the best out of that relationship. We come up with quite a number of programs, but for the sake of this discussion, right, I will touch on some of them. If we give 10 approvals today, between 60 to 70% of those approvals we gave in a day are on software. And we have seen the quantum amount of money that leaves this country is licensing fee. No any patriotic Nigerian would fold his arms and allow it business as usual. So now we came up with a strategy.
Okay.
The strategy is, we sat down with the relevant stakeholders. We can't allow it business as usual. What do? We came up with a program, what we call local vendor. It's a policy. And this policy is residing there in Northam, fully entrenched. Local vendor policy. What does it entail? For us to register any agreement on software, something that you don't buy off the shelf, any agreement on software that comes to us for registration, we insist there must be a Nigerian IT company that would be involved in the deployment of that software, must be involved in the maintenance of that software. The strategy is, if you involve intelligent Nigerians in the deployment, in the maintenance, you are developing the capacities of Nigerians.
Okay, we might ask you to pause here. Let's not even lose track here. But the thing is, you've discovered this huge deficit in software. I would think, wouldn't that be a point to go back to the basics and begin to develop capacity in software development?
That's where I'm dovetailing into.
Right.
You see, so we came out with this policy that before we register any agreement, there must be a Nigerian IT company. You see, for the owners of those softwares, if they want their product to work perfectly, they have no option but to train Nigerians on that aspect. So strategically, you are training Nigerians. You pay the licensing fee, but there is another caveat: continuous milking of the system. After 1 year of operation, you still pay between 12 to 23% of the licensing fee as maintenance fee. We insist that if a Nigerian company is involved in the deployment, is involved in the maintenance of that software, 40% of that ATS should be paid to the Nigerian as compensation. So you are developing capacities and at the same time giving them 40% of the ATS. The two implications: after giving them the financial muscles, that 40% that would have gone outside the country remains in the system. So now, through the maintenance, through the deployment, you are developing capacities. Then you are giving them some kind of maintenance compensation. So I'm telling you, after 7 years of operating that policy, we realized that we took a survey to see the impact of that.
All right.
I'm telling you, we have tremendously developed capacities of Nigeria in terms of software development and application. I'm glad to say some of those local vendors have not only developed softwares applications, but have started exporting softwares across the West Africa region.
Right.
West Africa, even in North Africa, we have them. Fasil is there, and Computer Warehouse Group. For those people who are in Lagos, if you knew Computer Warehouse Group 7-8 years ago, now you go there, you'll be amazed. They develop capacities of young, talented Nigerians, and the 40% they are getting as ATS has been able to provide them facilities that will help them translate what they have learned into tangible products and services. That is the impact of this of the software development. Now the other issue is, through our intervention, you see, we realize that the universities are looking at one side, the manufacturers or the private sectors are looking at another side. And unless the research and development of our innovation system have relevance to the industry,
right,
and they are of interest to the industry, and they are working together, I'm afraid we will for a very long time remain a consumer nation of others.
So how do you bring these two groups together in very critical sectors of the Nigerian economy? And I'd like you to have at the back of your mind agriculture, for instance.
You see, we also saw that there's an opportunity. Because we are regulators, when we call the private sectors, the industries, they come. Because they bring their agreements for us to approve. I'll tell you one instance. I will not mention the name of the company. It's an international company. They brought their agreements. In the process, because we have to thoroughly study the agreement, look at the files before I finally give the approvals. In the process of looking into their files, I realized that they are importing calcium carbonate from as far as China. And we have series of calcium carbonates dotted across the nation. We had to call the MD for a meeting. Please, sir, why must you have to go as far as China to import calcium carbonate? Don't we have calcium carbonate deposits in this country? Say we have. What is wrong with our calcium carbonate? Say our calcium carbonate has a lot of quartz, sand, silica sand. You understand? So it affects their machinery. Then we say it's an opportunity. We bring in technology. You understand? If you don't have it here, or you can commission Nigerian universities to undertake a research on our Nigerian calcium carbonate to remove those calcium silicate from our, so that it meets your specification. Say it's okay. Well, we gave you an option. You either bring in a technology that could refine Nigerian calcium carbonate to meet your specification, or you engage Nigerian researchers to undertake research that will remove calcium silica from Nigerian calcium carbonate to meet your specification. We will give you in the next 2 years. If you don't do anything, I'm afraid when it comes to renewal, we may not be able to renew at this time. Sometimes you have to use a sick and carry up. I'm telling you, within 1.5 years, that technology came into this country to remove silicate or quartz from Nigerian calcium carbonate. And that company came back and told us that now they are meeting their calcium carbonate locally. They made one small company where at least they buy nothing less than 60 to 70 million worth of calcium carbonate. At that time, from that small company, the company is expanding. But more importantly, the technology of removing the calcium and silicate from the calcium carbonate is now fully domesticated in the country. So that is an intervention, strategic intervention.
Okay, so now this is one case of bringing the industry needs to.
So there are other issues. Yes, there are other issues. Okay. You see, government alone cannot handle everything. Government is really squeezed. So the private sectors, as part of their corporate social responsibilities, they need to assist. So we identified 2 areas where they needed to assist. One, in developing the capacity, because that is the future of the nation. If you develop capacities, I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time. You see us springing to the next level. So we came up with what we call NOTAP Industry Technology Transfer Fellowship. It's like a scholarship. Instead of, as part of their corporate social responsibilities, instead of them to go and dig a borehole in a village, by the time the borehole breaks down, that's the end of the social responsibility. We insist develop capacities. We come out with this NOTAP Industry Technology Transfer Fellowship. That was we kick off in 2016. Let them sponsor. Let them tell us the areas of their research and development they feel Nigerians can participate, because 100% of their R&D, particularly the multinationals, are done outside the country. We say for us to approve R&D funding, you have to commit certain percentage that should be spent in this country, like developing the capacities and also providing some facilities. So we came up with this scholarship. It was in 2016, with only 5 companies at the first instance, sponsoring six companies sponsoring 6 candidates. And what we do is give us the area of your research and development needs. You feel Nigerians can. We advertised. Nigerians apply, but people who have finished master's degree and they are going for PhD, these are the critical level of manpower we need to develop a system. And any research and development at that level is most likely to translate into product and service. We started with 6 companies, and they sponsored 6 Nigerians who have finished masters and are going for PhD in various institutions within the country. It has to be tenable. We have our reservation for taking people outside the country. So I'm happy to say that 3 of those first set have recently graduated. One has been sponsored by Nestle Nigeria Limited. She has from University of Nigeria Nsukka. I think she came with a winning feed formulation, which is likely to translate into a production line. So the second one was sponsored by Airtel on this security, cyber security, and what have we. And it is of significance to Airtel. The other one, I think, is from Animal Science Department, University of Maiduguri. So that was the first. Then we also insist small companies to come in. In 2017, additional 10 came in. Additional 10 candidates right, and doing their research and development based on the operations of those industries. Now, of recent, just about a month or 2 months ago, we had additional 5. So now we are trying to bring the academia and the industry together. Once the academia and the industries are working together, then you will see research and development translated into products and services. The other issue,
Right.
even if you develop the capacity and you go to the laboratories, the facilities are dilapidated in some cases. So for you to have a credible research and development, the facilities must be good, must be of standard. We also feel as they're part of their corporate social responsibilities. Let them assist the institutions by providing them the critical equipments they may need in their research and development, excuse me. So I'm happy to say one company had really keyed in, PZ Cousins Nigeria Limited, and we started in 2018. They upgraded 3 laboratories, one University of Calabar, the second one Modibo Adama University, the third National Research Institute for Chemical Technology, Narik Zaria. So after the commission of those facilities, now the research team of PZ went around to those laboratories to see how they can now establish what we call a joint research. Now you are bringing the academia and the industry together. After this success of the phase 3, now PZ become further committed to upgrade additional 6 laboratories, 1 in each of the geographical zones of this country. Okay. Out of these 6, 2 have already been commissioned. 1 in the university, Alex Ekome University in Ndufu, Ebonyi State. The other one is Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. And 4 are coming by Gold Crest.
All right, DG. See, now let's come to the other side of it all. And we do acknowledge that we have indigenous technologies handed over from generation to generation. They have not gone beyond that step. One of the things Nigerians look at is there are indigenous ways of doing things here which have remained basically the same for up to, 100 years. And these are issues that can be upgraded. Modern technology, science and technology can be applied to them, especially in agriculture and other key aspects of the economy. How do we begin to get our research institutions, our universities and polytechnics to take interest in harnessing those and then upgrading them?
You see, if I look at it from the traditional aspect, and I also look at it from the research aspect, you see, traditional people are very conservative. We have technology. Somebody, if you have a broken, I'm sorry, not you, if somebody has a broken hand, from a distance, somebody can mend.
All right.
That distance. It's traditional. And because it is only confined to a certain family, nobody else gets it. And it's only maybe when the old man is thinking maybe very soon he would die, he would transfer it to his next generation. That is why. So now, even if there are some traditional medicines, the traditional practitioners, they hold this technology tenaciously into them. I don't blame them. If they release it, is they feel maybe somebody would steal their knowledge. So there must be an agreement, there must be an understanding between the traditionalists and our researchers. They will be able to tell you these are the plants we use, this. They may not be able to tell you the formulation. You understand? So unless we have an agreement, we sit down, okay, we have signed an agreement, we'll do this and this and this and this. You can see them now translating into larger volumes. But for research and development, you see, I'm confident our researchers, particularly in agriculture, they have done a lot. They have done a lot in terms of changing the genetic composition of some of these seeds.
But then how do you now bring in the traditional, practitioners, the traditional farmers, those who have done this? It's a very usual thing to hear people say, look, it's the way our forefathers have been doing it. And let's face it, people are skeptical about modern trends, aren't they, in this part of the world?
You see, Cyril, we need to balance. Because some people might say what is produced is hybrid, blah, blah, blah. We need to balance. You see, it's when you are fully satisfied, hunger doesn't exist, then you have a choice. But where your survival is at stake, in my own opinion, this hybrid, this modified, these things, they are not as bad as how people are portraying it. So there need to be a lot of public enlightenment, you understand? You cannot continue to operate at the traditional level to produce what will be enough for the country. No. You have to bring in science into it.
Machinery, for instance. You do see farmers in the rural areas, they still go through the drudgery of cracking nuts using their bare hands. Because they say, well, if they were to purchase machines that probably brought into the country and there are no local fabrications to take off, what can be done?
You see, Cyril, we need to have a policy on ground. As I had said earlier, Nigerians are good. What we need an environment, we need an encouragement, and a very strong policy. If today we decide that we want to produce tractors, or we want to produce these simple implements that will help farmers, there is one technology I saw from China. Very simple. If you have your rice farm, you just swap it around, it will be collecting the rice straw and putting it aside. These are simple technologies. Bring some part of them, you understand? And challenge our engineers. We want you to produce something like that. Give them all they need. In the first instance, it may not be 100% perfect. It may be 50 or 60% efficiency. You bring professionals again. Look at it again. How do we improve on that? By the time, after incorporating some of those observations by the professionals, you may skyrocket the efficiency from 50 maybe to 70 till when you get perfection. Once we get the perfection, that is now when the policy issue would come. No more importation on anything like this. That would force us. I'm telling you, if you have to import, there is a heavy price for that. Then we encourage. Where it is possible, government now could purchase some of those things and distribute to the farmers at subsidized price. By the time a farmer uses it and he realizes that it has cut off some dredges on him, it has cut off the amount of man-hour he would put to harvest his rice, he would gladly do it, and so many people will come and look for it.
Dr. Ibrahim, how do you respond to assembly plans in the line of this technology acquisition? You say okay, they just come and assemble here. You think that
no, it's not enough. You see, before any assembly plant is established, in my own opinion, and it happens in other countries, you have to have the needed capacities waiting for that technology to come into the system. You have to train your staff, your scientists very well, so that by the time the technology comes, they easily absorb it. So if you don't do that, you are just bringing maybe completely knocked down parts into the country and you assemble it. Yes, you are developing some capacity, but that's not the capacity we want. In the event those people fold it up and go, can we replicate it? So that is the issue. So we have to deliberately build capacity, even if we take sector by sector. It's a pity. We still bring in people to come and do what we call turnaround maintenance of our refineries. For a very long period of time, we've been refining oil through other people's technology. It's high time this technology is fully domesticated. I'm telling you, if we actually will do it, there is a gentleman, Professor, from I've forgotten the name. It's in ABU's area. He studied in Russia, And after he read chemical, Professor Dabo, he's in chemical engineering department in IBU Zaria. He studied in Russia. He worked in one of the refineries. By the time he came back, the guy is loaded with the technology to refine crude oil into products. He has established a mini refinery in IBU Zaria. It is refining 1,000 liters per day. Okay. You see, these are the key. So if people like him, you understand, now it's on his own, he feels the need to establish that refinery. If we had started that long time ago, the technology of refining our crude should have been fully domesticated.
AJ, let's touch on one aspect which we haven't talked about, and that is the attitude of the Nigerian now. And much has been said about that. Not wanting what's produced here and preferring what's been brought in. Yeah. Because the general thinking is it certainly wouldn't be of standard. How do you respond to that?
You see, I agree, and I think it's a matter of, in my own opinion, a matter of policy. Yes, you have tests for foreign goods and services. Let's put a very high tariff. If you must have to enjoy foreign goods and services, you have to pay dearly. That is what will strengthen our capacity to produce locally. Take example of this rice revolution. If probably government had not put its feet firm on the ground and say no more importation of rice. You understand? Our taste began to change from foreign rice to local rice. Before, more than 90% of the rice we consume are imported. But now less than 10% are imported, and we're enjoying local rice. So that is where a policy would come. So you have to have stringent conditions to discourage consumption and utilizing of foreign goods and services, and at the same time make an avenue to develop capacities locally. Okay. And that is what has exactly been done by this government in rice revolution.
As we begin to wind down, what has NUTAP got in line with developing the capacity of the teeming Nigerian youths? As you've described, Nigerians, very intelligent, resourceful, innovative. What is NUTAP aligning for this huge army of Nigerians who will be the drivers of the country?
You see, it's not within our mandate to build capacities of the individuals. And some of our interventions is we saw a gap.
Okay.
And we feel that NUTAP has responsibility to fill these gaps. This scholarship I'm telling you, which the private sectors are providing for intelligence Nigerians who have finished master's degrees and are going for PhD, is part of the capacity building effort.
Okay.
No nation would develop if you don't have that kind of capacities. Where you have enough capacities, Nigerians are engineers. They could see opportunities anywhere and doesn't. So we also feel maybe as part of our own regulation to encourage the private sector, you understand, to begin to work with the universities, with the research establishment, with the polytechnics, so that they will begin to appreciate the quality of the human capacities we have in the system. When we started this IPP, NUTAP Industry Technology Transfer Fellowship, some of the industry thought we are just looking after them to give money. We say, no, it's not the money we want. What we want is you to give us topics where you feel Nigerians can take research. When they sponsored the first 5, before we went into the second segment, we arranged a meeting between the industries, the candidates, their supervisors, NUTAP, NUC, and Committee of Vice Chancellor. We sat down in a conference. How do you assess this thing? I'm telling you, they say their perception has changed completely. Okay. Now they were in a hurry to see that this first segment is fully completed. They were ready to engage more in the second segment. That is it. So we are just being strategic. It's not part of our mandate, but we fill a gap. We see a gap, and we have responsibility to fill in this gap.
Now the other part of it, promotion. Yeah. It's a technology acquisition and promotion. Yeah. that's the part that we wind down with as you begin to promote
Yeah.
technologies and encourage, if I might use the word, people to go into more serious research and development.
You see, we are constantly in touch with the academia, because from the agreements, we see areas where we need to develop capacities. We see areas where Nigeria is spending a lot of money. So where any innovation or invention comes up, we used to have what we call Techno Expo. But now, with the coming of the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogwana Ono, felt that instead of individuals, organizations to hold their technology fair separately, there was the need to have a combined one. And for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been having a combined one. And any inventions that comes out from the system is normally on display. And you see people appreciating what Nigerians are done. But the key issue is, which we are also filling in the gap, as I said earlier, some of them, the IP are not protected. So we follow them, we protect the IPs. In 2019, 65% of the IPs protected in this country came through NOTAP. 65% of the patent certificates issued by the patent registry came through NOTAP. So that is the first stage. So when they come, they display. Quite a number of people show interest, and there is what we call like matchmaking. People now are beginning to translate. Now, if you go to National Board for Technology Incubation, they have products. Some of have even been quoted at the stock exchange.
Right.
So this Techno Expo is a promotional exercise, and we need to continue with it. And but more importantly, we need to be patriotic as Nigerians.
Right, and as you speak about technology incubation, what's the level of your collaboration and cooperation with sister agencies whose mandate, have to do with what you are promoting as well?
We complement each other, and most of them are within the science and technology family, within the National and Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. So we are constantly in touch with one another. We assist in any innovation that comes up within the system. We protect it. Where it needs publicity, we provide publicity. Where we need contacts, we provide the contacts, particularly the linkage with the industries.
Right. Thank you so much. It's been interesting talking to you. And just for you, you do provide extension. When you say extension services, that's a suggestion of what exactly?
No, we are not providing extension services.
Okay.
But we link innovators and the areas where the industries that need them.
That needed them.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in the final note, if that is the final note, I think we need to realize that the development of our country securely rests on us Nigerians, and we should not be under any illusion. Somebody will come from any country, a non-Nigerian, to come and develop our nation. We all have responsibilities as individuals. You play your part, I play my part. Collectively, we move our nation forward. We have no option.
Right. Dr. DanAzumi Ibrahim, Director General, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP.
Yes.
It's been interesting talking to you.
Thank you very much.
We hope you come again to tell us how much progress we've made in acquiring those much needed technologies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be glad to be here.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be back with One on One. I am Cyril Stober. Continue to stay safe.
So we have passed 1 hour.